What's going on, everyone? Hawaiian Hank here. So today we have a pretty special guest, long dear friend of mine, and yours truly, Mr. Steve Eldridge. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad.
Not too bad, yeah. So, what you just heard was his single. Now, explain what it is. It is a single off the EP, or is it just like a?
No, it's this whole project is kind of done off of like I guess like the feeling of like you're never like if you're not doing something right now, you're fucking up, or you're just kind of like you feel like you're stagnating. So like we put out one song, New Day, that will be on the EP,
which is my favorite.
Yeah, it was funny because like when I sent that to you, everyone's kind of like, yeah, it's okay, and you're like, dude, that's track. I was like, I think so too.
There's something wrong with their ears, dude.
No, I mean they like it. It's just like we have fucking like 40 songs.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone has their favorites.
Yeah.
And getting those to fit together.
Yeah, but I'm a sucker for like just an awesome hook, dude, and that's one's got
me and Mike wrote Savage like randomly. Like, we had other shit to do.
Which is what we just heard, right? Savage, yeah.
So, like, we'll have some shit to do. Like, right now we're working on the EP. We're pretty much almost done. You've been so gracious in letting me use your microphone.
Yeah.
And we have, like, just a little bit more to do. And instead of doing something like, hey, we should record harmonies right now, it's like, you want to write a song? And then we just wrote that song. Same way we wrote, like, one of the first songs we wrote together, which is, like, turns out to be a crowd favorite. It was just, I don't know. And we sent it over to everyone, and they liked it, so, okay, we'll just put it out, right? We got some shows coming up.
Yeah, get people to know it, and, yeah.
Well, it went over really well, which was kind of surprising, because we were like, hey, we've got all these, like, softer songs, and we've got really heavy songs, and I feel like this song kind of meets in the middle.
Yeah, because that opening riff, dude, That's some good shit. Like, that's an awesome fucking riff, man.
I was just trying to write some Architects type shit.
Yeah.
Like, all these guys play up, like, they'll play these, like, heavy, low-tuned riffs, like, up on, like, the 12th fret and then drop it to. That's all that was, you know?
And I know After the Burial did that on their new album a few times. Yeah. But what I do want to talk about is I want to go back in time, man. Go back in time in the portal. But before I do that, I do want to plug a few things here. So, so Steve made the intro for the podcast. So that's his beautiful face. He's the one who made it. And one of my friends just launched her, she makes T-shirts and stuff, and she makes mugs and stuff like that. She doesn't make the actual mug, but, sayings on it and stuff like that. So she kind of just launched her new thing, so I told her I'd plug it for her today, and it's called KT's. Her name's Katie, so it goes on a KT's kind of thing. So it's K and then TEEZE, and you can follow her on Facebook and look at her Pinterest, which I'll have in the link in the description.
Yeah, she have like an online shop?
Not yet. She's getting there, but right now she's on Pinterest and Facebook, and I was talking to her today about getting a website and what few things she could do and stuff, but I don't want to start saying
that shit is great, man. It's the only way you're gonna be able to pursue your hobbies or your whatever, your dreams or whatever, is by having some source of income where you just wake up and you're like, oh shit, I got money.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the only way. You gotta have your day job, or if you want to be a degenerate and just not do that.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but
just record bands and hustle.
Yeah. So, like, me with, just give her a follow on Facebook and check out her stuff. Right now, she's got a few things out, but I'm going to have her make a couple teas for the podcast and stuff like that.
I've got some sayings if she wants to throw them on there.
Yeah. And I got some ideas.
Be less of a bitch t-shirt.
And I got some ideas already for a t-shirt, but I'm waiting for some logos to get back to me. So, but, yeah, that's in the works too. I just make a couple so I can wear them and see how they roll and see if people like them or not. But so give her a like on Facebook and stuff, and that would be great. But anyways, so I want to go back in time here. So I saw you as a little drummer boy back in the day, man. Like, and saying
13 years old,
yeah.
really loud,
Yeah.
really round.
And seeing what you have, where you are now is fucking insane, dude. Like, because I've known you for so long that I've seen all of it. You know what I mean? Maybe, yeah, we don't hang out every day, but I see it. Like, we still communicate. We talk to each other.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like, it's weird. You seem to have these people where you just kind of like disconnect for a good period of time, and then you're able to come back and like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why didn't we talk? And it's like, well, dude, I was going through this, or like, you know,
Yeah,
just
dude,
life came and took me over, and it's like, oh fuck, really, man? That's like, same, you know, like, and I feel like that's where we were.
And it depends on who the person is too. Like, I mean, I'm not the guy, like, if you stop talking to me, I'm not gonna get butthurt. Like, I really just,
I understand.
It's just like,
you know?
whatever, dude. Like, especially if you're doing your own thing too, that it's not really a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, if we stop, like, I'm still doing everything. It's not like you stop talking to me, everything I'm doing is to stop. Like, some people do that though. Like, people freak out if someone's not talking to them. You know, maybe they don't want to talk about it. Maybe they don't want to be open about it. They want to take care of it.
That's a lot of people. They don't want to talk about anything.
Which I wish you would, but if you don't want to, I'm not gonna be like, no, you fucking tell me. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, it's like our whole original friend group when I was like, you guys were all older than me.
Yeah.
I was like, what, 14?
Yeah, like, how old are you now?
22.
22. See, I just turned 26. So
yeah. So the 4-year age gap.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with you guys in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a product of my environment completely. Like, I've always been this person that just kind of soaks things in. So, like, if I'm hanging around somebody, like, you're a great example, or even, like, Joe Hammond from my last band, or Nick Borelli, or Rick Tauber from Sky Machine, or Ben, like, any of them. It's like, you see the way they handle situations, and you hear their experience and the things that they've been through, and you're like, okay, I want to model that. Like, the way that they react with that person, or interact with that person, the way that person reacts to their, you know, whatever they're doing. Yeah. That's a lot of what I pick up on.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm super self-conscious. So, like, me thinking back to 13-year-old me or whatever is like, oh, God, man, how do people still talk to you? You know?
Yeah.
But it's just that, like, anxiety of it, and, like, you're always gonna. I feel like if you're content, you're never gonna progress. You're never gonna get better.
Yeah, no. You gotta step outside what you normally do sometimes, even if it's in the realm of what you do. Especially like if you create music and shit and stuff like that. I like to step outside the box once in a while.
If I'm content, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a big reason of me doing this project. Is like, I am not sure what's going on with Sky Machine. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. Like, I try to keep in contact as much as I can. But, like, if we get back together, great. Like, I'm more than down to do that because I love those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on, like, there's circumstances that have to come through everyone's lives and whatnot. But to some degree, if I didn't have this project, I wouldn't be able to go back to that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't giving my all in a big way of, like, I've been a drummer all of my life, and it got to this point where, like, I wasn't playing for the song anymore. I was playing because I wanted to get better. I wanted to kind of just expand myself, and when you're doing that, you're not playing for the band. Even if you're playing tight, you're playing good, nobody notices shit. Yeah. You're not playing because you want to be a drummer. I really wanted to do something else by that point, and I just didn't really, I guess, have maybe the courage to do it. I just kind of got pushed into it. But now when I see my drummer, Mike, every day he comes over to practice, he changes his kit around. Yeah. Like, me and him are, like, so adamant about tuning the kit. It always sounds great. Like, and that's something I never did. And so, like, I'm near the end, I started to, but, like, I still play now, but not, like, I only play because I want to play. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, you were a drummer for God, I don't know how many years. Well, I mean, you're still a drummer, but, like, when you got out of Sky Machine and then you started doing this project, you said you were gonna be the vocalist. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, well, you could definitely do it, you know. And
I didn't know if I could do it.
Yeah, but, like, how was the how much toll did it take on? Like, how nerve-wracking was it that when that moment you decide I'm gonna be the singer and I'm gonna try this? Was it like nerve-wracking?
No, it was
Or
like
you just-
liberating because it's like when you assume that role. When I started this band, everything like we've kind of not to. I don't want to say that we're, you know, the big things are happening, but we are talking to like people that we really respect and want to work with, and that came out of me sending them demos.
Yeah.
Of just me. It's like, hey, I've been in this band Sky Machine for a couple of years. I just worked with the singer of Get Scared. You know, you kind of got to get your narrative. You got to pitch them a story because that's what everyone wants.
Yeah.
They want to hear a story. They want something to latch onto. And that's just kind of what I sold. And that everything that has came from this project has been from like, hey, this is my vision. This is where I know it needs to go. And then those people are like, well, we like it, but you got a demo that's really good. You've got these songs that you've written for somebody else. That's cool. And you've got all these demos. Like, you've got, cool. How quick can you put a band together?
Yeah.
It's like, give me 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I had a band together, show booked the next month, and then just kept going like that. So everyone that I brought into the fold ended up just being somebody who is like Mike, a similar situation as me. Just kind of feeling like, you know, you're with these group of dudes who are your best friends, but sometimes that doesn't yield productive results necessarily. Just because of, you know, the personalities or whatever. Or you just you're just not content with your own thing. You want to move on or whatever. And that's kind of where he came from. Our guitarist Tristan, same deal. Like, just kind of been hustling, pushing, and just kind of sitting there like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Tristan, oddly enough, is somebody who I started recording his solo stuff for him. I kind of like saw him on Facebook, saw him shredding. I was like, this kid's fucking nuts, man. And I've just kind of, I don't want to say coached because it's like kind of a demeaning thing to say. Like, he's a very intelligent, creative person, but like more so just like, hey man, this is where I messed up when I was like, I see what you got. Like, this is where I messed up. Don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
And did he make that mistake? Yeah. Because that's what you got to do.
You got to make it.
I had those people telling me, hey, don't make that mistake.
And you'd be like, what the fuck you know?
Like,
and
but
then,
you don't understand. Like, this is what's going on, and like, we have to do this, and like, and they're like, no, you don't. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's how it is with everything, dude. I mean, even out at just everything. When someone's been through it and they tell you don't do that, you're not gonna fucking listen because you gotta learn. Like, subconsciously, you're like, I need to learn about this, so let's fucking do it.
I mean, so to get back to your question, like, no, it wasn't scary until it was like the first rehearsal where like I brought we actually had Jake from my first band, Delightful Downfall. There was a whole, anybody who knows me personally, which granted if you're watching this podcast probably. Yeah. There was kind of a messy falling out. It was a young band, we're all in high school.
Dude,
and then he comes back and like that was the thing is like I started that band with him.
Is he in your band?
No.
Okay.
He just literally like I was like, hey man, we need a guitarist. We've got some cool things happening. Would you just play a show or two with me to help me get off my feet?
Yeah.
He was like, hell yeah, man. And like he really kind of laid the groundwork down with us of like getting everything off because then we were able to have Tristan step in. And Tristan had, a good person to follow after. Like, okay, this is what he was doing. Here's where I can go with it.
Yeah.
Then we had John come from Polarities. So it's like everyone stepped from these different projects and it's like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So that's, in my opinion, that's what you need. You got to have everybody on board. You can't have any one guy kind of like, I want to maybe do this. Like,
everyone's got to be 100% full in.
Exactly.
Or else. You ain't gonna write the best shit you can if you're not.
And I keep skipping the question, but like the day of our first show, I kind of always had this hunch that like I like being in front of people. When I get in front of a crowd of people, I tend to be kind of a fool, and I want that attention. I want to make people laugh, and I always felt like when I was the drummer, writing vocals, writing lyrics, or like kind of maybe helping my singer on like, hey, maybe you should say this to the crowd or whatever. I was so nervous. Oh, how unprofessional of me. I was so nervous. And then we got into it, and I felt like I didn't know what to do on stage. I was trying to, like, do my best. But then it just, like, it fell into place. And I kind of, like, said some stuff, got the audience laughing. They were on our side, and, like, I felt it. There was, like, this connection that I hadn't felt in any group before, where, like, I could tell that people were actually genuinely listening, you know, because when you go to a local show, man, you don't really care. You don't. You're sitting there, you're supporting your friend's band.
Yeah.
And, like, when you can finally connect with that audience of, like, it takes a minute. It doesn't happen after the first song. It'll probably be mid-set where they'll be like, okay, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And our whole thing was formulated, you know, like, we have heavy gent songs, and we got a pop song. Like, the comparisons that this band get, like, crack me up, because I'm like, I've never even listened to that band.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, you sound like Dance Gavin Dance. And I think it's just interesting, or like I See Stars, or like Enter Shikari. Like, they'll make these comparisons where it's just like, well, I don't know who else does this. Like,
Yeah.
who goes heavy and then who goes and writes like a Don Broco song. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but then they still like it. So it's cool. So it's going to be figuring out, like, our sound and our demographic.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's just, I mean, so is this going to be the first official EP then? Or are you still counting the last one as?
No, we did put out an EP in December of 2017.
Yeah.
Me and Mike, when we first, it was, so to kind of take this back from the beginning, in September, I left my screen printing job. And I ended up kind of like having this moment of like, I can't, if I go back to another job, I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna repeat it, man. Like, I can't, again, it was like being in Sky Machine. Like, I'm not giving my all here. Sure, I'm busting my ass every day, sweating my ass off in a hot shop, fucking cranking out hundreds of t-shirts. But I learned how to do that quick enough so I could go on my phone real quick and take care of some band business and write on the Facebook and update shit. And that's not fair to your employer.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't like him, it doesn't matter. Like, if I'm running that shop, if I'm running my studio, and my studio hand's on his phone fucking off, like, why do I have you here? And that's my same position. Like, why am I there then?
Yeah.
So I ended up meeting, funny enough, a good friend of mine, Charlie Harris. He was in a band called World War Me. Things didn't work out with that, and he started his own project. And they're a band called Rematch. They're really good. They don't have anything out yet, but so he hit me up because he wanted me to play drums for his band. Truth be told, I really had no intention of wanting to play drums for a band.
At this point, when he asked you, were you kind of like, yeah, I want to pursue the vocal thing a little more?
I was like, I believe I kind of like said something along the lines of, you know, I'm down to come out and hang out and see what the project's about. To be honest, I would rather be a vocalist, you know, and like, I'm not opposed to playing drums, but that's what I would really rather do. So I go out and I meet him, and it's like, before we started shooting, we were talking about like, sometimes when you finally let your guard down, if you're that person who's so concerned about what people are thinking about you, or like how you're coming off to people, because you just want to be liked and respected, right? Isn't that what everyone wants? They just want acceptance. So like, I'm going over to meet Nick and meet these guys. I remember the first thing I do is I knock the guitars. He has this beautiful custom-made Kiesel guitar, and he's got it like laying halfway off the bed. And part of my mind was like, we shouldn't have a Kiesel there laying off the bed. And I fucking knocked the guitar into the wall. I'm like, fuck. Like, great. I've been here 2 seconds.
And I'm already fucking everything up.
Right? Like, oh, God. And then I sit down and I meet him, and I'm like trying to be... I have this issue where, like, I've always had this issue. I think it's the fat kid syndrome, where, like, you don't think that people don't respect you. Instead of me thinking, hey, man, you know, what you've done in your past is speaking for itself. You were asked to be here. You would, like, they essentially told me, like, there is no tryout. If, like, I've seen you play drums. If you want to be in this band, you're in.
Yeah.
So, like, being there, I'm still trying to sell.
Yeah.
You know, and I see this dude, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I heard that he used to be in Get Scared or something. I truth be told, I probably misread a text or something. So I'm like, just kind of like, who are these people? Like, I'm trying to, you know, like, hey, this is what I would be about. Like, this is my idea. And at the end, like, I'm kind of like showing everybody, like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is my stuff. This is my band stuff. And, like, I'm showing all these demos of me singing. And at the end, Charlie's like, hey, man, show him the new Get Scared track. I'm like, what do you mean new Get Scared? I thought he wasn't in Get Scared. So I go into, like, they're playing it. I'm like, this is fucking good. And I look him up. I'm like, shit, this dude's the singer. I just showed this dude demos with my untuned vocals. Like, I sound like crap. And, like, it ended up, you know, like, I remember he kind of felt like, because we had a conversation about it. He's like, I kind of felt like you were, like, kind of cool guy in me. Like, you wanted to see if I was any good. And at first, I kind of was.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, you know, like, who is this dude? Like, I've never heard of you. Like some people just kind of like, I don't, you know, like, you want to see who's kind of the alpha in the room. And I'm never really that person of, like, I want to see what I can learn from you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're fucking, and, like, your mixes speak for yourself. So if you put on a track and it sounds killer, I'm going to sit back and be like, okay, I'm going to shut up and listen. So you've got some shit to tell me, you know? So, like, I came off in the way that I didn't want to come off because I was trying to not come off that way, you know? And you really need to just be yourself.
Yeah.
And, like, the next time I hung out with him was a much better time. And then fast forward, he ends up offering to produce a single for me, just for my solo project. Because the thing with, you know, Charlie's group wasn't going to work. Even though we could have made it work, it wouldn't have. You know, it's just a different style. I was already wanting to pursue this. If I would have gone to that, it would have been me postponing this and, again, not putting my whole
And you probably would have fell back in the same thing you were in Sky Machine. Like,
exactly.
You're not putting your all in it.
So why do it? Yeah. So we did the song together, and he was stoked on it, like, which got me stoked on it because I'm like, I brought him 18 demos. I was like, here's everything. Funny enough, he picks a song that I wrote for Tristan. Me and Tristan wrote this EP, and he had one song that I really kind of, like, took the reins on. He wrote the main riff, and I just I had a vision. And that song ended up being our favorite song off that EP. And then Nick listens to the song, and it's kind of like it's kind of like Savage. It's like this, like, mix of, like, super fucking heavy with a catchy poppy chorus. So he listened to it, and he was like, this is the chorus, man. We take that chorus and we just scrap the rest of the song, write the whole song around it, and that's Living in Circles. That's the song that I've sent off to management, and industry people, etc. That, like, any attention that we've gotten has all come from that. Shortly after that, I helped him. I just started coming over to help him, like, engineer. Like, yeah, I'll do whatever you need me to do, and then it slowly turned into, like, helping him write for the new record. Granted, not everything that I wrote made it.
Yeah.
But one single, what will be the single, I had a decent hand in and writing, like, some key parts. And for me, being there, I remember Stephen Kreipel from World War Me is there. And again, it's that feeling of, like, I had already been knocked back, right? So I had heard, when you're in a local scene, you hear things about people. And you're like, oh, this dude's a dickhead or whatever. So I withheld that judgment. And when I met Stephen, again, I'm pretty much saying, like, you know, like, you hear things, like, when people are shitty, you know, it's just envy and ego. So when I met him, I, like, withheld all judgment. Like, I'm sure people judge me, and I'm sure there's shit being said about me. Like, that's how it goes. So I was just, like, blown away. And it kind of, like, put this thing in my head of, like, hey, if you're doing something with music, like, it's not because you're, like, you gotta be good to some extent. And he's an incredible songwriter. Mm-hmm. Like, dude's nuts. He'll write a blues song, then write a rock song, and they're all, like, just insanely clever and creative and amazing lyrics. And so point of me, you know, worshiping this dude right now is saying that while I'm there is I'm working with two great songwriters, established professional songwriters, and I'm just thinking, why the fuck am I here? Because when you're that person in your own group where you're kind of like, you're the writer guy, you're always the one adding, like, hey, we should change that line, or we should make this note go here. Well, these guys were already on that. They're like, no, that note's needed. The note was changed before you could even address it. Mm-hmm. Before the idea was even solidified. It's like, no, that needed. It's like, so all these things I would have typically been offering up were already offered up. And all I realized that I had to offer was my outside experience. These guys came from pop and like a more, kind of hardcore, that type of, pop punk background.
Yeah.
I come from metal and rock and 80s and pop, rap, all this crazy shit that's more rhythmically based. So I was actually able to add that element in where I felt it lacked, and it brought the song to life. So it's kind of like, you may think that you have nothing to offer, but you just need to be confident. Like it may not be what you're expecting it to be, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you may think that your call to fame is that like, oh, I could write the hell out of a hook, and then some other dude shows up and he's already got the hook.
Yeah.
And that hook's better than the hook you were gonna come up with. Even if you would have taken it, you might have wanted still to go in a different direction. He's got a killer hook. So it's like, all right, do I fight to get my little idea in here, or do I fit something else good somewhere else where I can see it? And that's where these great songs come about when you're writing with teams of writers.
Yeah.
So like, point of me saying all this is it gave me the confidence of like, when Steven and Nick both heard my track that I did with them, they're like, what are you doing? Are you going to try and, push this and do something with it and maybe try to get people involved? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I guess so. Like, I don't know if I could even be the singer. And he's like, why not? Like, this is a killer track. This is sellable, So after all that is when I started entertaining it. And then I got Mike involved. And I was like, just fucking be my drummer.
Man.
Just be my drummer, man. And he didn't want to, like, he's like, I don't know, we'll see. I was like, just come over and hang out.
So he
kind of started, like,
he was stuck in that. He
was
content
like,
where he was.
He wasn't content. He was just. It's one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite lines that I consistently use is like, that I'll try to use for a lyric, is like, safe in struggle.
Yeah.
Like, when things are so fucking, like, you're just constantly grinding, you can't really see that there's a greener pasture at all, because it's like, well, dude, I'm here. I still got obligations here. How can I just walk away from it? And then when you do, you're like, fuck. You mean this in a way was holding me back the entire time? These people, like, I'm not talking about Sky Machine now, but like, there's people in your life, well, while they may care about you and they may love you, they don't necessarily want what's best for you. They want you to stay with them. Yeah. And the second you keep progressing and they're staying there, there's just a divide that builds, and you get this like sense of envy. Like, 'cause I've been there, and you can there's no way to really handle it. It's like when you're busy all the time, or you're constantly like happy or like excited about what you're doing, those people don't like to hear that, 'cause they're not.
Yeah, because they're not. So
you know what I mean? Like, oh, it must be nice to be some fucking kid who's broke as shit, but like doing all these cool things. Well, it's like, yeah, I have to be broke.
Yeah, and you know what this ties into too, that I've been thinking about a lot of, is like the older generation of this work ethic kind of thing. So it's like, you need to work.
It's true.
Work. And I was like, dude, I can't. Like, good. Granted, I like my job. But when I'm at work, all I'm thinking about is this room. That's it. Like,
and that's why I couldn't be there anymore.
But I need money.
Not everybody can do that.
But I need money to get some shit that I want to do it. So lately I've gotten pretty good at it, like prioritizing time.
That's huge.
Because I got a new position at work, and I have more time to do shit. So I don't start early in the morning anymore. I start later, and it helped. And I'm still getting money, and I still have time to write songs and collab with people. And
recently you've been much more like not dead.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've been able to fucking like, hey, I'm doing an EP. Hey, I'm writing this. Like, you're able to like fucking do what you want to do.
I got time to do it. So I've been prioritizing my time as in, all right, I'm going to plan out my week on what days I'm going to do it. But if they don't pan out, that's okay. It will get done eventually. And I was just texting with someone who was saying, like, when you're doing what you want to do, because I think a hobby's super important. Even if it's not your dream, you just like doing it, you need to do it though. Like, it helps. It's therapeutic. It helps you not
lose your fucking mind.
Yeah, it just helps. It clears your head a little bit. And, you know, when you get home from work, you're fucking exhausted. So you're like, dude, you have no motivation to do shit.
No.
You got to push through that, though. Like, say if I have a song to mix, and I'll get home, dude, I really don't want to do it. I need, like, a couple hours to, like, do this, and I don't have it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
get in here.
When somebody paid you for it, it's an even bigger fucking thing.
So you get in here, and you're just like, dude, just work on it for an hour. Just an hour. Like, get it together.
You feel great after that hour, too.
Absolutely. Even if you're just prepping the mix, like, 1 hour, just spend an hour doing it. So you feel you got something done. You know what I'm saying? And then if you do that every day, some days you might get 3 hours, and you'll have the song done like a day and a half or two. But and then you said when you're done, you're like, God, I'm glad I did that. Because I do that with writing. I'm like, dude, I have this song. I really don't feel like laying it down right now. But I'll just force myself to get in here, set up the mics, record the acoustic track, and once the acoustic's recorded, it's hours of just writing and figuring everything out. And then, like, it's 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I've been in here for like 12 hours. And then, like, I'm like, all right, let's take a break. And I'm like, I'm glad I forced myself in the morning.
I have to take breaks intermittently, or else I can't work like that. Because I've been doing like 10 to 12-hour days for the past 3 weeks, just trying to work on my record, get other shit done for, like, people, like clients. Yeah. And it's, you can't do it without, I have to literally, like, write. I have a notebook, and I just write my whole week out now because I have to. I'm that type of person. Like, I fucking just move at such a fast rate that I'll just fucking forget what I need to do that day. Or, like, I'll just get tunnel vision, like, forget one small thing, and it'll piss me off because that was an important thing to do. Yeah. So, I definitely relate. Like, I procrastinate with a lot of shit like that. Like, I'll, in a good way, I think. So, like, if I have to do something, like, say I got to wake up tomorrow, for example, I got to record a band, and then immediately after that, I know I got to finish harmonies for the record. So, is that something I necessarily want to do? Do I want to be, like, waking up 10 a.m. and then the rest of the day working on harmonies? No. But it's going to be a good time because I'm enjoying the band that I'm working with. But there's not, like, I've been keeping up on all this stuff, so, like, it's not like I've got a ton of harmonies to do. Yeah. I've got, like, one song I need to patch up, hit some other shit, and I'm good. So I don't have this daunting task in front of me of, like, oh, I got to do all this shit now. And it's because you just chip away at it. You know, like, something like I'll do, if I got to mix a song for a band, I'll be like, okay, I'll edit these vocals this morning because that's something that, like, I don't want to do, or I do want to do because I want to experiment with the vocals or whatever. And then I'll, like, okay, well, then I'll work on this because I really want to do that. And then I'll kind of, like, save the stuff that I really, really want to do for the end of the day. It's like my reward of, like, and if I don't get to them, if at the end of the day I'm just like, dude, I'm fucking burnt, let's maybe just call it, like, then I'm going to work on something I really want to work on tomorrow. Yeah. So, like, what you were saying, coming home from work, and you're just like, fuck, dude, I'm so dead. I couldn't justify that anymore. Like, I'd be lying if I said I'm not a privileged fucking kid who's very lucky. Like, my family isn't well off. Mm-hmm. We're not. Like, we don't have money. Like, we're struggling hard as shit. Like, but for some reason, there's always been this push of, like, I feel like this obligation to, like, kind of do good for my family now because it's like I'm looking back and I understand it now. I'm like, why the fuck did you do that for me, man? Yeah. I was 15 years old. I was told that we were going to a real nice studio. Engineer, producer said that, hey, we need all these drum heads. We need new cymbals. We need this. Like, okay, that's like $600, man. Yeah. Well, Grandma, is there anything you can do to help? Shameful, right? Well, you want to do this, and then she's like, yeah, I'll help you out. And, like, at the time, you're like, oh, this is such a nice, thank you so much, Grandma. Now I'm fucking 22 years old, been working for a little bit, have to make my own money, pay, you know, hustle my ass off recording bands, and I'm like, dude, why the fuck did you do that? Yeah. Like, I mean, I know why you did, but, like, dude, that's huge. Like, absolutely. Consistently, you know? Like, I'm not saying every couple months. I'm saying, like, whenever there was a big thing, you know, like, oh, the band's doing something real big, like, they would just go out of their way to help.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like this obligation of like, no, these people have believed in me the whole time. And then I've had outside people believe in me. It makes you believe in you, because then you're like, well, dude, if all these people are kind of putting some stock into you, don't make them look like assholes.
Yeah,
like,
so
really,
kind of like give back in a sense.
Yeah, like you have
absolutely.
to. Because like, so I'd be like, even though I'm not working a day job anymore, like it's just the small shit of like, how can I help the family around the house?
Yeah.
Like, what can I get today for them? Or like, how can I go out and like, what's gonna take something off my dad's back or my mom's back?
Yeah.
Because they're essentially letting me pursue this right now.
Yeah.
If I didn't have them, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like if I didn't have my girlfriend fucking helping me out, it's like, it's all that shit. And it's the shit you don't want to talk about.
Absolutely.
It's like you don't want to admit that you have to lean on people sometimes. Like that's embarrassing. Especially as a male in today's society,
Absolutely.
you're a fucking provider.
Yeah.
Like you always, like, one of the things I looked up to you the most is you were, out of all our whole fucking friend group, you dropped what you had to do. You stopped having a fucking life right in, like, what, 21, 18, that whole fucking age. And you're like, okay, well, I got to work 2 jobs so I can help my fucking family. My mom needs the help. I'm like, dude, that's the type of selflessness that I unfortunately just don't have. You need this, like, selfish, like, almost like a little bit of an ego to say what I'm, like, the strain that I'm putting on these people is almost justified. And it's fucked up. And I don't, like, it's, like, I always get on this podcast with you and I start saying some shit that I don't want to say. But, like, yeah, like, it's, like, the strain that I put on, like, I know it's not, like, how it was when I was younger and they got to pay for everything for me.
Yeah.
But when I have those hard months, they help me out. And, like, if I didn't have that, how would I do this? Like, I couldn't work that job because I couldn't justify coming home at 5 o'clock and putting in getting a mix done for a band and listening the next day and be like, dude, this is absolute horseshit. I was so tired and so burnt that I just tried to do this mix and it sounds like shit, man. And then you do it on a day off and you're like, this sounds great.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting my all into this. You can't put your all working into for someone else and expect your own business to grow. That's not how that fucking works.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to just say, hey, I'm going to struggle and just do whatever I need to do to make this work. Like, that's just this code that I've lived by. If you have a backup plan, you've already failed. You already are not believing in it. Like, the one thing that I can say with confidence when I try to pitch this band is that, hey, I know that for a fact, if we had the right team pushing us and helping us, we are without a doubt, we have a viable product that'll sell. I can say that with the utmost confidence. I'm not saying everyone will like it. I'm just saying that I know it could do well because I would make sure it would. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like if you're taking care of it yourself, you're going to do whatever you have to do to make sure. Like, you're going to hate it, but then you're going to put it out and it's going to be a song like Savage where you hated it. When you were mixing it, you're like, oh, fuck, man, this mix sucks ass. And then you put it out and, like, I still hate my mixing. I don't like it at all. That's why I'm going... Like, everyone's like, why you record bands and you're going to Nick Nativo at the Nook? Why? It's because I'm more of a creative person. So when I write with bands and I work with clients, I'm mainly focusing on the song. I'm helping them write their song. If I'm sitting there and I help them write the songs and I fucking spend 3 hours tracking guitars and 2 of those hours are mainly spent tuning and then I have to edit all the guitars, I'm already not seeing the whole... Like, I'm not looking for what could be better. I'm looking to finish the track, edit it, and put it out. Like, so if I don't have to be the one doing all that fucking like, all those tasks, I edited the guitars for the record. I've edited all the harmonies, and there's a shit ton. So it's like I have done my fair share of work, but Nick's taking care of tracking my vocals. Like, we're going to co-mix it as of right now. So it's like all these things where, like, if he was not helping, it would take so much longer. Like, we've only been to his place 3 days, like 3 8-hour days, if that, and the whole EP is almost done already. Like, we fucking work quick and we work hard. But if you don't have help, you're not gonna be able to get it done.
Yeah.
And working on a project like this, I think that's where most bands shoot themselves in the foot. It's like, oh, we're gonna self-produce. They have this ego about it, and it's like, okay, well, if like, it gets around that you can write a song, man. That's not like, people aren't stupid. Like, if you listen to a band and you're like, they got this really good single, but then the rest of the record just doesn't hit me. Well, somebody probably helped them write that single.
Yeah.
So, like, if a whole band's EP is good, it's not because of the producer. The producer can only do so much. But if it's just like they got that thing, you can't teach that,
Absolutely. Yep.
Not saying we have that thing, but to a certain degree, you need to believe that you're on the precipice of getting to it, Like, I'm almost there. I think I've got something that's, palpable, and somebody else tells you do. So, like, I wouldn't be able to put... This record will turn out so much better because I'm not doing it all myself. The records that I do for clients where they come to me with a badass song and I'm able to just record it and add a few input, like those songs, mixes, everything, they turn out better. But I'm not a mixing engineer yet.
Yeah.
If I'll ever be, who knows? But I consider myself a songwriter.
Yeah.
Rant end.
You're a good guy. But yeah, so now we're gonna go off a bit, stray away from Steve, but I want Steve's opinions. But so everyone be on the lookout for the EP, and
whenever that comes out.
Whenever it comes out, you'll know about it. Know
about it.
So I'll be plugging that bit. But yeah. So, but the one thing I've been noticing that it hasn't been like pissing me off. It's just been like it's been entertaining. So like, what was I just listening to? Band released a new song. I thought it was dope. Damn it, I forgot.
What kind of band?
It was a metal band. Shit.
It's the one you sent me?
No,
that
shit's badass though. But I forget. But it's on a lot of bands. So I put out a new song, and just Ghost. So I know you're not really into them, are you?
I don't get them.
Okay.
It sounds like classic rock. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it yet.
Yeah. So they released 2 new songs, right? And now when they first started, they were very like evil sounding, and they had that evil tone to them with that classic rock tone for their first 2 records. And then their third one,
very theatrical.
Yeah, and then the third one, they took more of a catchy direction. Like they will focus more on hooks. You know what I mean? And which was good. Then these 2 singles, there's a song that they released, and it sounds like an 80s arena rock song. And let me tell you, dude, this shit got ripped apart, man, by quote unquote elitists, which that's where I'm like, dude, like why do people gotta rip on it? Like, if it's not it doesn't sound like their old stuff. No shit, man. No shit.
That's the whole
Bill
point.
Burr said it perfectly with his stand-up. What do you want me to, like, keep doing the same shit over and over and over again?
Well, Bill improvs every night. He can't do the same set over and over again.
But, like, with his podcast.
I can't stand that
People are like, I miss how your pod used to be more angry. He's like, what do you not want me not to evolve as a person?
Yeah, like,
dude.
I remember listening to Bill's podcast when I was fucking 13 in your garage, and it was like almost to the point where it was like just so angry. Like,
oh yeah, dude.
And he like just hated people. And like I enjoyed it to an extent, but like
when you get older, you're kind of like, dude, he has some issues, bro.
Yeah, and now like he seems happy. Like he seems to have that perspective. Like Mia brought that perspective that he needed.
Hilarious. You know what I mean? But it's just reading threads of people ripping. I'm like, this is like entertaining. I'm like, who? Like, you're not. It's crazy. Then like when Avenged Sevenfold released their last record, The Stage. Now the song, The Stage, I think it's a killer track, dude. That guitar solo gave me a boner, dude. I don't care. That shit was awesome. But dude, everyone just ripped on it so hard.
I was not a huge... I mean, I like the song, The Stage. I like the record. I think it's brilliant.
I think it's great.
A lot of people don't. Like a lot of
That's what I'm saying. Like
Avenged fans don't like it. I think it's the best...
But then I think
most creative thing they've done since the Rev left. Because the Hail to the King.
That's true.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, I liked a few
Brilliant
songs
record.
on that record, but
Smart move.
when the stage came, I'm like, dude, this is great. Like, this is awesome.
Hail the King, I look at it as kind of like this, like,
I feel like
hey, we want to cross over to the Metallica audience. We want to cross
Yeah.
over to this classic rock audience because we're just a little too extreme for them right now.
Yeah.
And then they did that, and now they're like one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Like, how you gonna tell me Hail of the King, it does not get stuck in your head, dude? That song's catchy as hell.
I don't want it to.
It's
You know what I
so
mean?
goddamn catchy,
Yeah.
man.
It's
But,
like,
yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with that still. That's like part of the whole thing of QUALIA is like, I want to appeal to people.
Yeah.
I want that big audience. Why wouldn't you? Like, isn't that the whole point as an entertainer? Like, I never understood that of like, I want to appeal to my guys. And like, yeah, I do want to appeal to those people. I want to appeal to the gent kids. I want them to think I'm cool and I'm good. But I also want to introduce gent and that style of music and these elements to people who would never, ever, ever listen to that.
Yeah.
Or like, I really believe, I've said this to you a million times, that Periphery in a big way has changed like music's, like a lot of people's approach to music in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, drummers weren't playing like actual drummers playing ghost notes and grooves like they are now, like in a rock band. You didn't hear a rock band playing ghost notes. Like, that shit didn't happen. You just had the simple rock beat hanging back.
Yeah.
Like, they changed a lot of shit. Even for, I feel like, you know, hip-hop artists now. You've got guys like Kendrick Lamar who are, like, technically proficient even if you don't think they are.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, music is just moving forward. And
Yeah. It's so, like, when I read these threads and shit, and these people just bashing it, I'm like, dude, do you listen to anything else but metal? Like, is this your only thing you listen to? Because it has to be then. If you're ripping on Ghost for sounding like an 80s arena rock band, so it sounds like Journey wrote the
I
fucking song.
wouldn't even consider Ghost metal, personally.
They're rock.
Like, if you're ripping on Ghost, man, like, you're probably ripping on the new Godsmack single, too. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Like, The Opinion of Sheep. Like, you don't know anything about this. Like, but that's also why I want to hear your opinions. I want to know how to appeal to you. I want to get inside your head. Yeah. So, like, the whole thing with QUALIA, like, we were talking about that. It came from the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. It's just the experience of experiencing something. Yeah. That's all it is. So, like, me and you are having this podcast right now. We're experiencing this thing together. I could be anxious. I could be like, I got this going on in my head. This could be kind of like fun for me, whatever. You could be having a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So for our band, we've got heavy songs, light songs, and that's the whole point. Is I've had this feeling of like, if you're going to be successful coming up, you got to do it all. You can't be a one-trick pony. You can't just be sticking to this genre because people aren't going to like that anymore. Yeah. Like Post Malone, I could see him. I love him because I think he's a brilliant songwriter. And I could see him making a rock record and fucking swapping this whole thing right over. Yeah. You know, like when you see clips of him screaming hardcore songs and Die Hard is Murder, you're like, dude, fuck yeah, man. Now I like rap. You know, like now all these metalheads are like, dude, Post Malone's awesome. And it's just because that sign-off was there. Kind of like when I was telling you about, like, Get Scared. It's like, I got that sign-off. Yeah. Like, these cool dudes said it's cool now, so now it's a lot cooler to like me, even if you don't like me. Like, if you're in that whole friend group and so-and-so says you're cool, even if the other dudes are like, man, I don't like him. Well, now it's like, good song, bro. I like your song. Yeah. Like, you know, it's just like people influence each other. So if you got these comments and they're all saying, like, oh, fucking Ghost sounds like an 80s band now, and it's like, yeah, it does sound like an 80s band, doesn't it? Like, oh, it sounds like that one. Yeah, it does remind me of Journey, even though it sounds nothing like that. No. And it's just, like, they don't know what they're hearing. Yeah. If they were told it was cool, it'd be cool. If it was played on the fucking radio, if Chicago had a radio station and you heard fucking Ghost 8 times a day because they were fucking paying to hear Ghost 8 times a day, you think, that's a pretty catchy song. I like that song.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
I don't mean to shit on people. I'm that way with movies. I love stupid fucking movies. Yeah. I can't hate on people for liking what they like.
See,
or talking shit on it. It's like it's just
I've tried to stop doing that because there's some shit I listen to that's like, dude, you're not that's not cool. No. You know, like it's just one of those things that like there's some things I listen to that's like, dude, high school me would beat the fucking shit out of me for listening to this. Like listening to Miley Cyrus's new album. Dude, high school me would beat my ass, dude.
High school me was listening to Miley Cyrus, so I'm fucked anyways.
And then it's just like that kind of thing too with the artists that were like pop and shit, and they went huge. Because it's not really what they wanted to do.
Nope.
Like same thing with Lady Gaga, dude.
I fucking love her.
Like Joanne, that album Joanne is so fucking good.
The documentary. I'm assuming you watched that.
Yeah.
5'2".
Yeah, and
oh
it's
my god.
but it's so good because like her explaining it and everything. I'm like, see, I'm waiting for all these big pop stars to go in that route.
They're already doing it.
I know.
Beyonce just did it with her last record. You're always gonna hear the hate about
Yeah.
Beyonce, but that fucking record is brilliant.
Yeah, Lemonade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
brilliant.
it's good. It's a
So
good. It's a good album. And when you take that direction of actually putting instruments in your stuff, and you can hear the real song in the lyrics, you can hear that maybe she like actually wrote the lyrics for it.
I believe she did.
And you know what? And same thing with Lady Gaga. Like I know she writes her lyrics, and she writes her songs on piano, and you know I know she's got a killer producer with her.
You can't be doing like it's like the point I made earlier. You can't be doing this for as long as they're doing it and not be good.
Yeah.
It's just the way it. Why are people putting this much money into you? It's because you're Beyonce and you got, you know, all this money and you know you got all these like the brands and whatnot. No, it's because Beyonce's music sells those brands.
Yeah.
Her story, her voice, her passion, all her lyrics, like her everything sells everything else that she's doing. So that's why these people put that money into her.
Cause like I'm glad for like I'm so like it was so relieving when I started getting to other genres of music. It was like super like it just felt so different, and 'cause high school was just, dude, if you didn't listen to metal, you're a bitch. Like that was it. With my long hair, shit attitude, like
Coming over to your house to scream I was gay, man. I don't like screaming.
yeah, and you need like fucking Slayer and like Megadeth, and don't get me wrong, Metallica's my favorite band of all time, but it was like Metallica, Megadeth.
Yeah, it was high school.
You know?
Everything was gay, man.
Yeah.
That's gay.
Yeah, until I got into Trivium changed the world for that in metal. Like they got me into screaming, but I'm talking about like outside of metal, like after high school. When my dad showed me the Avett Brothers was over, that like metal ditched the door for a long time, and then I just started getting into folk, and I started getting into country, and then I started like right now I'm getting into country, not radio, but like outlaw country from back in the day, dude, like that type of stuff, and just all this like I'm a sucker for an awesome clean guitar tone. I'm such a sucker for it, and a good lap steel sound. That whenever that shit kicks on a track, I like it instantly. If every instrument's just flowing together when you got a good clean guitar tone and everything just sounds good together, I just get hard as shit.
Well, I mean, literally, I'm like scientifically, like a clean guitar and all that shit's gonna just be more pleasing to the ear than a distorted mess.
And like when I got into, then I started getting into indie. After the Avett Brothers started getting into like indie rock, like Transit and all that type of stuff, where it's more clean and crunch based tones and just clean singing all throughout. And then it just, I was like, what the fuck? And then everything, and I really got into pop punk, and just now I'm like into everything, dude. I just can't hop on the hip hop board yet. I'm not quite there, but like everything else, I kind of like I don't bash shit on everything, like, but.
Especially
like
the
right now, like
hip-hop, I get
like
it.
I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like I don't want to keep just making it all like, oh, this is what I'm doing. But like that's, unfortunately, like that's how it's been for me. It's been so focused on a narrative and a story that like when we were like kind of like putting together I was putting together and hashing it out with Mike, like the idea of this project, like they're like the Kurt Cobains, like, you know, 1975. Like the people who are like the 1975 to me is brilliant because they're literally like the voice of our generation right now in a big way. And it's one of those things where whether you would disagree, like this whole sound that's came out now where it's all kind of 80s and, you know, like that they kind of helped that push go there, you know? So a band like that, like it's just so genuine. Like you're hearing the person, and that's what I want my lyrics to be. Like, who knows if I'll ever get there, but I want to hear, like, I want you to hear like I'm talking to you right now. Like you could hear what I'm saying in those lyrics, and know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And with Kurt Cobain, Matt Healy, like all these dudes, you can just hear like the sincerity in their voice.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And that's rap.
Yeah.
It's like when you got a dude like Kodak Black, I don't really know much about him at all. Like I'm not siding for him. I just know that he was in jail or something. And I listened to Roll in Peace and I read the lyrics. I'm like, dude, this dude's actually not just like, it's not about guns and money. And like, even though to an extent that's the thing, but like he's connecting with people because he is like saying some shit. Like that's always going to, and now more than ever, like people are wanting substance.
Yeah. Which is what I think everything needs, man. Just needs a little bit of it, you know. But, and that was the same, I was listening to Doors last night. Jim Morrison had that too, man. Like when he sang, dude, you can.
She Gets High.
You can.
That wasn't fucking, that was not cool. Like that was an edgy thing.
Yeah.
You know, like The Who, what was the one song where they have the stutter?
Oh, My Generation?
My generation. Like, that was, whoa.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Now you can make that in 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
And you got a 1975 song where he's like, I'd rather be getting high than watching my family die.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, man. Like, that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need that shit where it's like, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. Because it's what I'm feeling. Like, I need this, whatever. That's my lyrics. Like, I have the thing where, like, I'll write some shit, like case in point, being in a bad relationship. I write all these lyrics and all these songs, and at the time I'm like, fuck, man. It seems like I'm hinting at something. And after the fact, I'm like telling my story to myself. Yeah. Like I have a song where like my current girlfriend, love her to death, like haven't been happier with somebody. The day that we kind of like got together, like I had a song at the time that we wrote together, and the lyrics were, come Sunday morning, we'll see daylight. Honestly, you set the scene, an image that was made for me. And I had written that 2 months prior about her and kind of like not wanting to admit that to myself. Fucking, I wrote Sunday morning because it sang well.
Yeah.
2 months later, Sunday morning, 7:30 in the morning, like we're like, yeah, well, we need to be together. We're best friends. I love you. Like, it was just like, fuck, what? Like, in all these lyrics, like they just, like, why didn't I just read my own lyrics?
Yeah.
I knew how I was feeling.
That's why writing's fucking awesome, dude. I think it's important.
But you end up saying shit. Like, my significant other at the time, reading that, like, I'm sure, like, if she, like, you know, things are what they are. But, like, if you're reading that, you're like, what's going on in this dude's head?
Yeah.
You know, like, he's clearly not content. Like, he's struggling. Like, it all comes out. And if you don't let that shit come out and you're writing about fire and having a good time and flames and let's party and, like, it's only going to go so far, man.
Yeah. Because, dude, on my EP, I wrote I wrote this song years ago. But it happened when I saw this Blood in the Snow. And when I wrote it, it's the darkest fucking song lyric-wise I've ever fucking written. Because, like, all my songs, like, when I write lyrics, I always try to put some kind of silver lining in it, usually because all my songs are so fucking sad that I like to, though...
if I don't have a silver line, it's like a sarcastic thing.
Yeah, because, like, Blood in the Snow is just, it's basically about, and I think a lot, too, so... Like, the lyrics, like, when you listen to them, you might not think how I think them, because they're pretty blunt about it. So it's just about, like, a guy and a girl. They're together, but they want to be together for eternity, so they go in the woods and they blow their brains out. Like, that's the premise of the story. So subconsciously, what was I? Suicidal, in a sense, because I wrote about it. And, like, the chorus is just straight up, you know... now that we're here, we can become one. Why are we so afraid? We can pool. It's going to be okay. You know, and our love ignited in the air. Now there's blood in the snow. And then that's the chorus. And, like, put the barrels up to our heads. That was one of the lines. And I'm like, do I keep that in there or no? I'm like, yeah, keep it in there. Yeah, you keep it in there. Because it's edgy a bit. You know what I mean?
That's what you want in there. Like.
And then after I said, we can pool, it's going to be okay, I got a distant gunshot you can hear to make it more... edgy, and it's just dark as fuck. So every time I listen to it, it brings me back to that time, and you know, when I was depressed, and the song helped me get through that, like, a lot. Like, I read it now, and I'm like, dude, I do not feel this way anymore.
We've got a song written recently called "You're a Fool," that is written just about me with my life, like, over the past 2 years, 3 years. And the first half is written, to put it bluntly, kind of just about drugs.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's written as a note to my friend. Like, the first verse is written as if I'm talking to my friend. The second verse is called, I start off with "Love of My Life." So that's to Michelle, second verse. But the first verse is, you ask what I see. Well, what is staring at me so quietly in the meek? And then it's, I won't believe that my life can be thrown away. Take another kid. You won't feel that way. Tell me, how can I do this without you, my dear friend? Like, how can I go out and, like, deal with people in public without smoking a bunch of pot?
Yeah.
You know, like, how can I really do that? Like, that fucking, just that anxiety of, like, because I'm not a drinker. I'm not a big drug dealer. I love pot. I've never been fucking afraid of admitting that. But, like, it's that thing in your head of, like, why am I leaning on it now? Like, I'm leaning on this. I don't want to lean on it. I want to enjoy it. I want to use it as, like, a recreational thing that I enjoy. Why am I leaning on it? Why do I need it? And that's kind of what that's about. It was like, and then the chorus is, who are you when there's nothing left? Tell me, what would you do? What would you choose? Give me the Benzedrine swing and I'll be the old me. Which, if you don't know what Benzedrine means, I'm not going to tell you. That's the whole part. But a second verse, love of my life, how could I do you so wrong right from the start? Well, you see, these are my friends, and they won't let me win. Still, I'm stuck with failure and regret. Tell me, how many more times will you have to feel this? Who are you when there's nothing left? Tell me, what would you do? What would you choose? You're a fool, fool, fool. You can't just make up your own rules. And the day you learn this well, boy, we'll raise some hell. Give me the Benzedrine swing, and I'll be the old me. So it's like, just kind of like, I always get a little sassy. Like, you're a fool, fool, fool. You can't just make up your own boy when, you know, like, all that shit. But, like, to an extent, it is very metaphorical, and it could just sound like, hey, these are my friends, like, who just hold me back. But no, it's like something, like, I don't want to talk about that. That wasn't something that I would want to say. That's why I said Benzedrine.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't want to, like, just give it to them all the time because you're ashamed of it. But if you look into it and you want to know, then you would get it. So, like, I totally relate to that. And that's just about me being really depressed about myself and hating myself. You're a fool.
See, and that's why I like writing lyrics, because, you know, if you feel something's wrong but you can't pinpoint it, and once you write, like, what you write might not flat out say it, but the underlining of it is the problem. And then you can, once you figure that out, you're like, oh, I can work on this now. So, like, my EP, it's a lot about longing for connection with someone and love. Like, that's the thing. And all my songs, like, and it's kind of like the song When We Were Young. I sent you that one.
Yeah.
And that one's just, this whole EP is actually pretty much about a specific person. And just having that one more night with that person, and I'll be okay. We don't have to do anything. I feel like closure got lost somewhere along the way. And it doesn't eat me up, but it's like, I need to write about it. And I want to put it in lyrics. Like, at the stars at midnight. That's about the one more night. You know, we can land our stars at midnight and whatever. And then When We Were Young is like me having a conversation with said person. Do you remember when we were young? And then Bury Me is just basically
sad boy.
It's basically a letter to death, saying thank you for taking me out of my misery.
Your sad boy song.
Yeah. And then
Savages.
Yeah. And then it's and it just helped too. It's like, oh, I'm just writing these, but I'm really thinking about this. This is the problem. Maybe I should work on this, and it helps a lot. Most definitely. That's why I love having music and everything. Like, people come over and be like, man, I wish I had all this stuff. I'm like, you can have all this stuff. You can. you definitely can.
Man, like your studio's so nice. It's like, dude, I work
it's
not
for
that
it.
nice, dude.
It's
Trust
not.
me. Like,
have you seen a?
yeah.
It's not. This is just gets me done, dude. Like, granted, I love this space, dude. I love being in here and stuff because it's like isolated and I can just work. But I'm like, dude, I worked for all this shit. Like, I rewarded myself with all this. You know what I mean? Like all this shit's new. Like, I just bought all this stuff, and I'm like, you can do it. You know what I mean? But people don't have that drive to do it either.
That's my big. You can do literally anything if you fucking want to do it, and that's like again, it's kind of the selfish, and not being selfless, and kind of just doing what you need to do do that. Like me losing 140 pounds, like it was obsessive. Like that's the way I am. I've got an addictive personality. When I was like, hey, I want to lose all this weight, I want to be thin. It took me 6 months, and it was every day after work, going to the gym, dieting insanely. Like I didn't eat hardly any carbs, you know, just like this obsessive thing. And that's how I've always been. And that's why to a degree, I do feel that I will do something with music as a livelihood. Whether it's not, like, if it is QUALIA, that would be amazing. Of course, that's everyone's dream. They want to pursue their band and have people love their music, blah, blah, blah. If that's not the case, I'm still going to be doing something. Because it's just the way I am. Like, I'm going to make sure of that. And I've always kind of been able to, like, do that and prove that to myself of, like, hey, if you want this, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fucking just make it happen.
That's the thing, yeah, because, dude, a few people will be like, dude. But I'm like, you got to understand, like, I mean, this all started, like, I was doing this shit before I even met you, too, like, with Sonar. Like, Sonar 6.
You were the one that got me into it.
So, like...
You record?
So,
teach me.
So, like, I'm doing all of it, and, you know, and it's not like... Right now, I don't think of, like, See, this is where I'm kind of like okay with. Like right now, I have this perfect balance of making money at work, and doing that helps me not want to fucking hang from a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like I got this perfect balance right now, but I do want to pursue something when I like the stuff I do when I get home. I want to pursue it. Like take this podcast for instance, like my channel. I want to do something different. Like this is stepping outside of what I usually do. Like, and I want to make some skits and stuff. Like, I just want to have fun, dude, while I'm here. We've been talking about that. Yeah, I want to just have some fun while I'm on this fucking planet and in my life. I don't want to be just grinding at work, making money and just having money and what the fuck am I doing with it? So that's why I stress to everyone, hobby is so important, man. Like, you come in here and you're like, God, I wish I had all this stuff. You can have it, dude. Like, when I go to your place, I never think for a second, like, God, I wish I had all this stuff he's got. More like, what do you have? I need to get this. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
What do I need out of what you have?
Yeah, like what am I getting? Like how much was it? Like, and I will make sure I get that eventually. You know what I mean? I'm not trying. I don't want to.
Every time you come over, you don't need that. You don't need that. Like you could do it with this. Here, use this thing, man.
Absolutely. Like, so and same thing with plugins too. I always ask you, like, dude, what's, because I don't care if I have to pay. I'll fucking buy it. Whatever it is, I'll buy it. I don't care, because it's gonna help me with what I do. You know, like take my keyboard.
Plug Joey Sturgis tones.
Yeah, I need to get on that, dude. Like, I want to get his.
They're great.
A few of his plugins I want to get.
See, I know some guys, some engineers are kind of like, well, it takes away all that work, and like, why would you just want one thing that just does the thing right? Well, it's like, because I'm not like.
It saves time.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't consider myself the like best mixing engineer even around here by a long shot. So it's like I'm trying to create my idea and get it sounding good quick.
Yeah.
If I put on one fucking plugin and it makes that happen, like, and it gets me to point A to point B, and then I can do some other shit later, like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, everything they've put out recently has just been phenomenal. Like, that bus glue shit, dude, you just put it, like, I remember putting it on my mix, and, like, instantly, like, fuck, this sounds way better. Like, just, oh my God, like... And I was annoyed. Like, I could see why, and like, somebody's fucking got all this amazing gear. They're like, I could do this with something else. Like, I could see why you want to do that, but it's...
And there was one, I had someone out doing vocals on, and they're looking around, like, they brought their friend with, And they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, dude, I don't make that much money.
Mm.
I just know how to save it, and I know how to prioritize it, and I know when I could buy what I need to buy. Like, I don't make that much money. But when I want something, I'm going to fucking get it. I'm going to fucking buy it because I want to do it. But I always got to make sure that I'm going to use it. Like, take my keyboard, for instance. The thing was like almost $2,000. Then I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'm buying it. It's going to last. I'm going to have it forever, and I'm going to play the shit out of it. Why not? Put on a credit card. Fuck it. I'll pay it off eventually. Why not? And then once I paid it off, buy the fucking next thing. Same thing with all, like, when I wanted a new DAW and everything, I got a new computer. I'm like, I did
That's the
research.
way you should do it.
I'm like, how much does all this cost? How much is a new computer going to cost? How much does Pro Tools cost? How much is a new interface going to cost? How much is, let's add it all up.
Yards.
And I'm like, all right. Every 2 weeks I can buy one thing. Okay. First, let's get the computer. Let's get that straightened out. And then, all right, this week I can buy Pro Tools and my interface together. Granted, my dad bought that for me. He's like, early happy birthday last year.
That's awesome.
Or no, it was before Christmas. He goes, here's your early Christmas present. And I'm like, so we were at Guitar Center. I'm like, card out. And I'm like, here, take the fucking $450, whatever. Yeah. My dad's like, I got it. Don't worry about it. He's like, early Christmas present. He's like, don't expect anything else. I'm like, dude, you didn't even have to do that, but I have the money to do it. But, dude, that's dope as fuck. Yeah. Remember, like you said, just someone doing that type of thing, like helping you out. Like, granted, it saved me. I took that extra $450 I had and put it towards other things, like my fucking Slate subscription and stuff and all that. Just, like, it just helps with some things and buying, and helped me buy Contact and all that shit, you know? So it's like, okay, that worked. That was pretty dope. And then it gives me room to buy new mics. Just that type of thing. When I want a new mic, how much does it cost? Well, it costs this. I can't do it this week. So keep using what you got. I know
that's the difference between me and you. Yeah. So you can go, okay, I'm going to finance this next week. I'm like, okay, well, how do I make do with what I got? Or do I have a buddy that's got a nice microphone? Because I've got decent shit, but it's like if I'm going somewhere using a $1,200 microphone, why am I going to record at my home studio with all my other, like I've got a UAD Apollo interface that I adore. And you can essentially use it as, you know, run outboard gear through it and then print to Pro Tools as if you had that shit. Well, why am I going to use a $1,200 interface with like a $150 mic? Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, and that's just like that though too. Like when I first started doing podcasts is when I bought this. And I'm like, all right, this was like, I think they're like $300. I think. I'm like, I could swing that right now. That's fine. But eventually I do want to get another one. But, and then when I wanted to, I kept using my other condenser for acoustic. And I was using a 57 too. But I'm like, dude, I don't want to use a 57 anymore. I want something else. So I looked up the 81, I do so much research though before I buy. And that 81, the Shure SM81 got a lot of good reviews for acoustic.
87A is fantastic.
And then I used that for a while. I'm like, all right, I'm starting to sing now. I want to up my vocal thing. We could wrap this up. Yeah. That's fine. But anyways, yeah.
Oh, and that camera is being a bitch again.
All right, you do a little guy. But thanks guys for listening. Steve, thank you for coming on.
Having me on.
We'll have you on.
I love this shit. I love being on podcasts.
I'll have you on again soon. Don't worry about it. And I know my channel's supposed to be somewhat comedy, but when I got someone like you on, it's good talk, dude. It's fucking great.
I usually try to be a goof, but when I start talking to you, we got all deep and shit.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but
so depressed I am.
Yeah, everyone, check out Steve's shit. If you need anything done, go to SAE Productions, Facebook if you need anything done. And check out KT's, my friend's t-shirt shit, and hope y'all stay easy, stay breezy, baby.
Check out Joey Sturgis Towing.